So let's talk about God. Not the fluffy Instagram God with pastel skies and sparkly quotes. No, I'm talking about the big one. The God of Abraham, the God of worship me or fry, the God who invented smiting before smiting was cool. And here's the kicker. If you put that God on a couch and ran through the DSM criteria for narcissism, he'd ace the test. Straight A narcissist. Top of the class. Gold star. Bravo, Yahweh. Let's go down the list, shall we? Criterion 1. Grandiosity. God literally opens the Bible with, "In the beginning, I created everything." Like, okay, Picasso painted some flowers, Shakespeare wrote Hamlet, but God says, "Oh yeah? I built galaxies with my words." Try topping that. Criterion 2. Fantasies of unlimited success and power. Not even fantasies, he claims he's already nailed it. All-powerful, all-knowing, everywhere at once. If a guy on Tinder wrote that in his bio, you'd swipe left and call your therapist. Criterion 3. Believes they're special and can only associate with special people. Hello, chosen people. The entire Old Testament is basically God playing favorites like an alcoholic Little League dad. Criterion 4 requires excessive admiration. Praise him, worship him, sing to him, write hymns, kneel down, hands up, never stop. God's love language is eternal ego stroking. Criterion 5, sense of entitlement. 10 commandments, more like 10 demands. Thou shalt not even think about other gods. Forget polyamory, this dude invented jealous monogamy. Criterion 6, exploitation. Humanity exists apparently to glorify him. Imagine creating billions of beings just so they'll tell you how awesome you are. That's not divine, that's a multi-level marketing scheme with thunderbolts. Criterion 7, lack of empathy, floods, famines, pillars of salt, eternal hellfire. God is love, they say, while he's waterboarding half the planet in Genesis. Criterion 8, envy. He literally calls himself a jealous God, not poetic jealousy. Straight up, if you so much as burn incense to the wrong deity, I'll ruin your descendants for generations. Calm down, big guy. Criterion 9, arrogance. The whole alpha and omega thing. I get it, you're number one. But when someone can't stop reminding you how amazing they are, you start wondering if maybe they're covering up for a fragile ego. Congratulations, God. You scored a perfect 9 out of 9. Narcissist of the millennium. Actually, narcissist of eternity. And then comes the pièce de résistance, the crucifixion. Let's just call it what it is. If you or I did this to our kid, it would be a Netflix true crime doc. The father who sacrificed his son, a story of divine neglect. God supposedly loves the world so much that instead of just forgiving people like, I don't know, a functional adult, he sends his son to be tortured to death in public. Blood, nails, thorns, the whole horror show. And Christians are supposed to clap and say, thank you. That's not love. That's narcissistic exploitation wrapped in barbed wire. That's, I'll make you suffer so I can look like the hero. Classic abuser playbook. And don't give me the Jesus chose it line. Because on the cross, Jesus himself screams, my God, why have you abandoned me? That doesn't sound like someone who's chill about the plan. That's the sound of a son looking up at his dad like, are you serious right now? You brought me into this world just to ghost me during my murder? That's not consent, that's betrayal. Any therapist worth their salt would call it out. This is the golden child scapegoat dynamic. God sets up his kid to take the fall, then disappears at the worst moment, then takes all the credit for saving humanity. The Narcissist handbook says hi, and the fallout? Humanity is told forever after. Be grateful, sing praises, wear a cross to remember the torture device. Thank him daily for traumatizing his own son to fix a problem he created in the first place. That's like your dad setting your house on fire, then rescuing you from the flames, and then demanding you thank him every day for his bravery. But Dad, you lit the match. Shut up and pass the guitar, it's time for another worship song. Now here's where it gets deliciously ironic. Christian Americans eat this up. They're raised on it. They're marinated in narcissism. Sunday school is basically training to admire abusive power. And then along comes Trump. The guy is a walking DSM checklist. Grandiose? I'm the best. Nobody builds walls better than me. requires admiration, whole rallies built around chanting his name, exploits others? Just ask his contractors who never got paid. Lack of empathy, mocking disabled reporters, shrugging off a pandemic death toll. Entitlement? I alone can fix it. Arrogance. Have you seen him? He literally prints his name on stakes in a university. And what do many Christians say? He's God's chosen one. Of course they do. If your God is a narcissist, a narcissistic leader doesn't feel wrong. It feels familiar. It feels divine. Think about it. The same people who worship a deity that says, "Obey me or burn forever," are the ones chanting, "Lock her up," with foam fingers on. It's the same energy. They don't want a leader who listens, empathizes, or admits fault. That would feel weak. They want the strong man, the smiter, the guy who says, "I alone can fix it," and demands loyalty oaths. Because in their minds, that's what leadership looks like. That's what God looks like. And once you normalize worshiping a cosmic narcissist, what's one more in the White House? And it's not even subtle. The Bible literally says God is jealous, vengeful, wrathful. Trump tweets the same way. If Twitter existed in the Old Testament, you'd have God subtweeting bowl, pathetic loser idol, low energy, my people love me more, hashtag jealous God. Jesus would be live streaming from the cross like, "Dad, why did you forsake me?" And God would be rashoing him in the comments. It's the same damn vibe. And the believers, they'll tell you it's all about love. God is love. Trump loves America. Love, love, love. But if you strip away the hallmark branding, what they really mean is, we're fine with abuse if it makes us feel protected. We're fine with cruelty if it's wrapped in power. We're fine with narcissism because it feels like home. That's the cycle. That's the punchline. Here's the kicker. If you really believe God was all-powerful, he could just forgive people. No blood, no nails, no Roman execution squads. Just forgive. Done. Mic drop. But narcissists can't do simple, quiet acts of love. They need drama. They need spectacle. They need the universe to stop and stare. Enter the crucifixion. Enter the pageantry. Enter 2,000 years of people thanking God for orchestrating the greatest narcissistic stunt in history. And now, enter a reality TV star in the Oval Office, feeding on that same need for drama, that same addiction to grandiosity. Different stage, same script. So yeah, God fits the DSM criteria. Trump fits the DSM criteria. And the connection is not an accident, it's conditioning. Worshipping one makes you more willing to accept the other. The ultimate celestial narcissist set the stage for the orange earthly one. And if you don't believe me, just look at the signs outside churches. Jesus is Lord, Trump 2024. They've merged the two into one meganarch. The Holy Trinity is basically God, Jesus, and Trump. Holy Father, exploited Son, and spray-tan Spirit. The irony is, the very cry from the cross, "Why have you abandoned me?" is the sound of humanity too. We've all been abandoned to this toxic cycle. But unlike Jesus, we don't have to stay nailed to it. We can look at the pattern, call it what it is, and say, maybe worshiping narcissists, celestial or presidential, isn't the best idea. Maybe it's time for leaders who don't demand praise, who don't need loyalty oaths, who don't sacrifice their kids for clout. Maybe empathy isn't weakness. Maybe humility is strength. Maybe God's not the role model we think he is. And maybe, just maybe, if we stop glorifying divine narcissism, we'll stop electing human ones. Until then, pass the hymn book and the MAGA hat. It's all the same cult.